Good? Okay. Yeah, thanks. It's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. All the selectmen are present. We'll start by transmitting a Treasury warrants 39, 39A, 40, and 40A.
Move the warrant.
I'll second it.
Motion made second. All in favor? Unanimous? We have no meeting minutes to approve, so we'll go right to our 7 o'clock appointment with Donald Onset, DPW Superintendent, regards to the Whipple Road Bridge Design Memorandum of Understanding. Mr. Onset? Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here tonight to discuss the proposed project of rebuilding the deck of the Whipple Road Bridge. The Whipple Road Bridge, commonly known as the Nickel Street Bridge, connects Nickel Street and Brown Street in Tewksbury, Nickel Street in Wilmington with Whipple Road in Billerica. It's received some damage over the years. 2006, the so-called Mother's Day flood had some pretty serious damage. We were able to work together with Billerica to repair it, keep the bridge open. However, in 2010, the March floods of 2010, the bridge received some more significant damage, and it was a joint decision by both Billerica and Wilmington to close the bridge. It just wasn't safe to try to keep it open. So we've been working with Billerica, and we've been joined recently by Tewksbury. Tewksbury is not our owner of the bridge, but is very interested in the project, and we'll work with those other two communities to come up with a plan to try to do a permitting and design, working together to get the bridge back in service. We feel this is an important inter-community link between Tewksbury and Billerica, and we're supporting the project. We're not committing the town to spend any money for construction. We'd be looking at grant money to do that, and we're proposing the memorandum of understanding that's in your packet, proposing that be approved and signed by the board tonight. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Honest. I appreciate it. I had some opportunity to review the materials that you provided to us, so thank you for the detail. I guess I have maybe two possible questions here. Will the design, or hopefully the ultimate construction that comes at the end of that, the design phase, will it be focused on building to withstand or be stronger than what we've had in the past and withstand another 100-year storm that we seem to be having every 6 or 7 years lately?
The deck will be designed to attempt to withstand that type of flood, but without the raising of the abutments and building a whole new bridge, which creates a whole set of permitting issues that we're not really ready to tackle. There's a possibility that down the road that we could see some future damage from future floods. It should be pointed out that bridge is about 60 years old, so it's withstood 60 years of numerous floods, and it's really just beyond its useful life and really needs to be replaced.
Do you think that the Mother's Day storm was at 06, did you say? I don't want to...
Correct, May of 06.
Do you think that weakened it or made it more vulnerable so that last year it just finally was the nail in the coffin?
It did. We had some pretty significant deck damage in 2006. We were able to put some Jersey barriers up, and we recognized back then that this was a temporary fix that we were doing in 2006. We got together with Billerica at that time and attempted to secure money to do a more whole-scale project of repairing the deck, and we weren't successful. So the 2010 storm and the floods in March, in April of 2010 really finished the bridge. We really need to rebuild the whole deck.
I know that it says here that you're going to continue going after FEMA or MEMA funding, but we don't want to wait until we get a final answer from them, positive or negative, so this is why we want to pursue this now. Is that the timing aspect of this?
That's correct. We have had some meetings with FEMA, and there are some programs that we're going to pursue. but the design and permitting is the phase that we need to complete, that is the responsibility of the towns to do before we can pursue that.
Last question I had was, it said in here, and I don't want to go leafing through, that Wilmington was designated as the lead town among the three, which I think is preferential. I prefer that anyway, but what qualified us as the lead town versus the other two?
Well, we've had several meetings with the two other communities, and it just was a consensus that, you know, we were kind of the lead community in pursuing the various avenues that we've been pursuing, and the feeling was that we would continue to do that.
Good. Thank you very much. I have no more questions. Thank you.
Okay?
I'm all set.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Over the weekend, when I was looking at the package, just amazing, the memories of these photos of Whipple Road. The water just, it was horrible. I remember going to college, University of Lowell, travel that road all the time. It was always problematic, but I support what your recommendations. You do a good job, Don. I mean, you do your homework, and whatever recommendations that you suggest or whatever that you're going to do, I just support it. And I feel comfortable with your expertise that will put it in a good direction and be an asset to the town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All set.
Just the permitting and design phase is also, Tewksbury's going to pay a share of that too, correct?
Correct.
Even though they don't own, technically don't own.
This is correct. We're going to split the cost of that in thirds, so we'll pay 1/3 of the cost.
Okay, very good. I'd also like to recognize Jamie McGaldy out in the audience, the Assistant Superintendent out there. Jamie, thanks for coming. And any other questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, is there any from the audience? Okay, do we need a motion on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a motion to sign the memorandum of understanding regarding the Whipple Road Bridge design and permitting between the three communities.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second, all in favor? It's unanimous? Thank you.
It's three different copies that need to be signed, please.
Okay, a little early now, but the next agenda item is myself as the chairman, presentation of the Board of Selectmen's annual report for calendar year 2010. Dear fellow residents, the town of Wilmington enjoyed a remarkably productive year in 2010. Thanks to a talented cadre of employees, town officials, and an ever-increasing number of dedicated residents whose selfless volunteerism enhances our quality of life, Wilmington continues to be a very special place in which to live and raise a family. The mission of the Board of Selectmen is to ensure the efficient and appropriate delivery of municipal services. As a board, we recognize the burden that homeowners face during these difficult times, and we strive to provide an affordable and dependable local government. Wilmington's financial condition remains strong. The town has demonstrated an ability to live within its means while building substantial reserves to meet unexpected expenditures. Recognizing the town's strong financial position, Standard & Poor's issued a AA+ stable bond rating, and Selectmen approved the sale of $4,540,000 general obligation for municipal purpose loan for 2010 bonds, enabling the purchase of a modern aerial tower ladder truck and the funding for a school renovation project and for water and sewer infrastructure improvements. Town meeting authorized Selectmen to sign an extension of services agreement with the Reading Municipal Light Department. The board voted in June to extend the 20-year agreement, ensuring that Wilmington has reliable and cost-efficient power supply, a voice at the RMLD, and continued revenue from in lieu of tax payments to at least 2030. The board signed a memorandum of understanding with the town of North Reading, which will enable the Route 62 culvert to be reconstructed. The project is to be funded by a flood hazard mitigation grant from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency and by funding from the town of North Reading. The project has no financial impact on the town of Wilmington. However, the end result will mitigate flooding for both communities. Selectmen also continue to work with colleagues from Andover and Tewksbury to facilitate the I-93 Transportation and Economic Development Project. This initiative includes the development of a form-based zoning code which would envision the appropriate use for those properties to be served by a new interchange capable to the needs and wishes of the three communities, The town's environmental consultant, GeoInsight, reported on the revised closure plan of Maple Meadow landfill. The Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP, determined that there was no longer a significant risk with the landfill in its current state. Based upon an analysis of the data, DEP issued a letter reversing its position to bring the additional soils at the landfill site. This decision is consistent with the town's insistence that the site has adequate soil to enable a proper closure without the need for additional soil. The town will continue to monitor the landfill. Additionally, selectmen are pursuing legislation that would exempt the town from any liability associated with the former operation of this site. The town remains active in its opposition to New England Transrail, NET, proposed solid waste processing transportation facility on the Olin Chemical Superfund site. After 2 years of little or no activity, NET renewed its claim that federal law preempted its need for state and local permitting. The town has again filed its strenuous objection with the Federal Surface Transportation Board to any exemption that would lead to its permitting of this unacceptable operation. Residents spoke emphatically at the 2010 annual town meeting when they voted overwhelmingly to appropriate sufficient funds to conduct a feasible study on the Wilmington High School. The board was unanimous in its support for the study and its position that a new or significantly upgraded high school would be in the best interest for the town of Wilmington. In September, selectmen voted to authorize the superintendent of schools to submit a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA, in order that the Shawshene School window project be deemed eligible for an MSBA green repair grant. Subsequently, the MSBA voted to invite the town into the green repair program, paving the way for the receipt of an approximate 50% reimbursement of the cost of the project. A newly established farmers market received the go-ahead from selectmen at year's end. Selectmen authorized the town manager to prepare a license agreement enabling the Wilmington Farmers Market Association to conduct a farmers market during the summer months on the Middlesex Avenue site of the former Swain School. Selectmen worked with the Historical Commission to ensure the preservation of both Butters Farmhouse and the Richardson Estate located on Woburn Street. The dedication of the Historical Commission exemplifies the hard work of so many of the town's volunteer boards and committees. There were many success stories of our town in 2010. Foremost among them was the recognition of Wilmington by Business Week magazine as the best affordable suburb in Massachusetts. The Massachusetts Municipal Association presented its annual invitation award to the town of Wilmington for the bookstore next door, a unique community bookstore operated by the Friends of the Library, a volunteer organization established to enhance the offerings of our public library. Congratulations are in order for the Wilmington Police Department, who became the 40th Massachusetts department to receive state certification, and to Wilmington High School, who successfully completed its accreditation process. Volunteers comprise the lifeblood of Wilmington. This past year, we joined with the Wilmington Little League in welcoming back opening day ceremonies and the Little League Parade. We applaud the highly successful Wilmington Relay for Life, and we welcome newly formed civic groups such as Women of Wilmington and iPods for Wounded Veterans Project. They join so many older established organizations whose involvement in the community enriches our lives. Perhaps the best and most lucrative demonstration of community spirit came from the successful town-wide effort that secured 2 $10,000 grants from Liberty Mutual. A debt of gratitude is extended to all who participated in the 2010 Bring Back the Fourth project and the 2010 Be Fire Smart Pledge program. The town emerged as the only community in the country to receive both grants in this nationwide online challenge. As I conclude my report, it is only fitting to applaud all town residents for their unwavering commitment and support of our veterans. This support is demonstrated each year by the large turnout for both Memorial and Veterans Day celebrations. On Memorial Day, the town unveiled 31 new granite crosses and 1 Star of David to commemorate Wilmington's fallen heroes. In August, the town rededicated the John Allen Rich Memorial in honor of a local soldier killed in action in Vietnam. At the same time, the town dedicated the new bridge on Route 129, Lowell Street. Voters at the annual town meeting authorized the naming of the bridge as the Veterans Memorial Bridge. It is indeed a privilege for each member of the Board of Selectmen to serve on your behalf. We look forward to continuing our commitment to ensure the best possible future for the town of Wilmington. It's respectfully submitted by myself, Louis Smaglia IV, Chairman of the Wilmington Board of Selectmen. And with that, we'll go right into communications. And I'll sign these.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The board has received a letter from Governor Patrick and Lieutenant Governor Murray regarding the Chapter 90 local transportation aid funding. They are informing the board that funding for fiscal year 2012 in total will be $200 million statewide. This is a 29% increase from the previous fiscal year and represents the highest level of funding ever apportioned for local transportation aid. The governor goes on to say that he recognizes the importance of this capital spending to each municipality across the Commonwealth, especially during these difficult economic times. He pledges to remain supportive of the Chapter 90 program and local transportation needs, and he expects that legislative authorization for the fiscal year 2012 Chapter 90 program will take place within the next several days. The letter certified that the town of Wilmington's Chapter 90 apportionment for fiscal 2012 is to be $767,429. Although he doesn't indicate what it was this past year, I would note that it is a significant increase over the fiscal year 2011 apportionment, which was $598,000. So we certainly welcome the $169,000 increase in Chapter 90 transportation construction aid. The board also received good news from Catherine Craven, the Executive Director of the Massachusetts School Building Authority, officially informing the town of its approval of the green repair project funding for the Shawshene Elementary School construction project. The board approved, this project is to replace the windows and certain of the doors at the Shawshene Elementary School, and the board approved an estimated maximum grant of just over $417,000 for the town of Wilmington for that proposed project. And just for the information of residents, and I've indicated this in the past, but we are moving forward with the project. It's great that we're able to get some well-needed funding from the state on this particular project, and it is our intention to begin construction as soon as school is out and to have the project completed during the summer prior to the next school year. The board has a memorandum that I send each year and provide them information on any town-owned land articles that have gone to town meeting. You were advised that I did review those parcels of town-owned land that are on the warrant for disposition at the 2011 annual town meeting in order to determine whether a declaration of surplus is appropriate. And I provided my determinations, which were based in part upon the recommendations of the Property Review Board, which undertook to review all of the parcels that were referenced by any of the petitioners. I've also notified each of the petitioners in writing as to my determination. Parcel that was petitioned for a piece of a large parcel on Wildwood Street, Article 32 map, which is Article 32 and is map 61, parcel 6, we determined was not surplus to the town at this time, and therefore that'll be the recommendation going to the town meeting. And with regard to the parcel on map 44, parcels 166 and 167, this is at Faneuil Drive. We did make a review of those two parcels, and based upon that review, which included the recommendation of the Property Review Board, determined that the land is surplus to the needs of the town, and will be recommending this as eligible for sale at town meeting. We've advised the petitioner that the fair market value as determined by the Board of Assessors for these parcels is $150,000. Would also remind folks that that the declaration of surplus is required to be made by the town manager, but it is not tantamount to approval of the sale of any land. In order to sell town land following approval at town meeting, it must go through the requirements of the state's procurement regulation, which is known as Chapter 30B, which requires a competitive bid process. So those were the only two articles that were, both petition articles that came before the town this year, and those were the recommendations. The board has a copy of a letter which I send on their behalf each year with regard to the conclusion of any term by a member of the Board of Registrars. This year we sent it to the Republican Party based on Mr. Souza's registration, and we've indicated to the chairman, Mr. Trombley, that Mr. Souza is interested in being reappointed. The board, by law, by Section 15 of Chapter 51, is required to make the appointment and to make that based from any list submitted to them by the town committee of a political party. If they don't provide that list to the appointing authority within 45 days after notification, then the board is free to choose whom they please. Typically, the committee will contact the board and indicate whether or not they're in favor of that particular candidate earlier than that 45 days, and we hope that's the case here. The board is being asked to consider the request of Eric Johnson, Assistant Scoutmaster from Troop 136, to use the 4th of July building parking lot for the purpose of a yard sale fundraiser on Saturday, May 14, 2011, from 9 a.m. To 3 p.m. This is for the purpose of a fundraiser for Troop 136 to continue its operation and enrichment program for the boys. And so this is before the Board of Selectmen for their review and consideration.
Any scheduling conflict?
There do not appear to be any scheduling conflicts
On either date?
at this point. None on May 14th. There could be a problem on May 28th. So we could certainly provide approval if it's the board's wishes for May 14th, and then deal with the scouts if there's a problem after that.
Are you Mr. Johnson?
I'm actually Mark Pajot. I'm the Scoutmaster.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm here with my senior patrol leader.
Okay, thank you for coming. Do you have anything you want to add to that, or?
I'm the senior patrol leader, which is, like the leader of all the boys, trying to keep them all around me and stuff. My name's Matt Pajot, and all we have to like to do is just use the yard sale. Use the parking lot for a yard sale to help us buy some equipment for like camping, like tents and stuff.
Okay. Any questions or comments or a motion from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I think we met Matt a few years ago, right? Matt was one of the winners of the statewide sixth grade Mass Municipal Association essay contest.
Very good.
I move that we grant the request for May 14, 2011, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., subject to authorizing the town manager to handle accommodations for a rain date if necessary.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, the board has a request from yourself in your capacity as Director of Department of Veteran Services and the Memorial Day Committee to conduct the parade for Memorial Day on Monday, May 30th, 2011, as well as to invite the board to participate in remembering and honoring departed comrades on that particular day. The parade will, at this point, assemble at the Market Basket parking lot at 9:30 a.m. If there is any change, you will be notified, with the step-off time being 10 a.m. And as well, you are being invited to participate in the memorial services that will be held at the Wildwood Cemetery after the parade, starting at approximately 11 a.m.
Okay. I don't think I have to abstain.
I don't think so. The board does need a motion to
Yeah.
approve the parade.
Questions, comments, or a motion?
Move to approve the parade on, what's the date? May 30th, 2011, starting at 9:30, Memorial Day Parade.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made second, all in favor? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, the board is being asked to consider the request of Khalid Hazima to obtain a hawk and pedal license to sell ice cream. In the town, Mr. Hazima has done this for quite some time and has actually, on a number of occasions, been the selected vendor for the town beach, based, again, on competitive bids. We have one letter from the police chief that has reviewed and approves the 2011 application for the hawk and pedal permit from Mr. Hazima.
Questions, comments, or a motion?
I'll make the motion that we grant the request of Khalid Hazima to obtain a hawk and pedal license to sell ice cream.
Second. Motion made second, all in favor? Unanimous? I'm sorry.
Go with it.
Okay, it's unanimous.
Just thinking of a couple of nice flavors, that's all.
It is a little warm. Public comments? Yes.
Good evening. I come before the board tonight making some public comments about some very disturbing things. And what I'd like to point out is an article that's in the Lowell Sun today. And I think everybody in Wilmington should buy the Lowell Sun and read it today relative to that article. And it's conflicting information as to what was reported to us from the Selectmen at the building committee, that the Sharapa property was, I quote, "the ship has sailed. We can't buy that property because they're not interested in selling it." And the report states that the attorneys for the Sharapa farm state that the town hasn't really been pursuing it in the last
Mr.
few
McDonald,
years. But that's beside the point. The point actually...
When I say a few words, I respect to let you speak. I think you should do the same when I speak.
I wasn't finished
Okay?
with that.
Public comments are for residents to come in with a question or an issue that they would like an answer for, and to discuss it maybe at a later meeting, maybe get it on an agenda item.
I do have a question tonight, which is the main reason I'm here.
Okay, go ahead. You get a question.
I received an invoice for the purchase of our aerial firefighting apparatus, and that was for $847,000. It was from Greenwood Emergency Vehicles. And I'm confused because in our budget book that was presented to the Finance Committee in the town meeting, it called the estimated cost at $1,130,000.
Right, that was last town meeting that it was voted on, Mr. McDonald.
Correct.
Correct.
It's almost like...
And-
Can I clarify that?
Before you make another statement, we'll explain to you what happened.
That was not the motion, and I'm surprised, since you attend all those town meetings, this was discussed several times. Could you turn and say what budget book that is? Right on the cover.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. 2010.
2010, right. So in 2010, when we prepared the budget, which was at the end of the year 2009, we estimated the need for for $1 million, I think it was $1,130,000. But as we went forward, we found that we could get a more competitive bid. We could get better prices because the prices came down. And this was something that has been reported on ad nauseum. And in fact, we appropriated a far lesser amount. We appropriated, I believe the number was $900 and some odd thousand. I don't know specifically. So that's what the appropriation was for, and that's what the the bonds were for, that as a matter of fact, Mr. Semaglia just referred to in his comments. So that there's no way when we get a more competitive number, when we make an initial estimate, if we get a more competitive number, that's the number that we actually raise. So we had authorization to borrow that amount, but that, and I know it's difficult sometimes to understand municipal finance, but the actual borrowing was at a much lesser number. I was responsive to your public document request. You wanted to know how much the truck itself cost. The truck itself cost that amount of money, $847,000 or whatever that number is. And then we also paid, in addition to that, within that appropriation, again, of 900 and some odd thousand, and if you were interested in this information, I've been happy to provide it to you, for all of the equipment that goes with the truck. So that was all part of the appropriation. And then we received $10,000 as a trade-in value.
Well, what's disturbing to me about that is the amount that I see that's conflicting, and the fact that my taxes keep going up.
Mr. McDonald, he just explained to you that what the price there for the truck is the price of the truck.
Right.
And I'm trying to explain to you, I want to know why our surplus of free cash keeps going up.
Nothing to do with free cash.
Excuse
me. I'm sorry, Mr.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You're being critical because we were able to buy a piece of equipment a couple of $100,000 less than what we initially inspected to buy it for. So I guess you would have been happier had we overpaid for the item that we purchased. As I explained to you, we never appropriated the $1,130,000 figure. That was never appropriated, so it has nothing to do, that figure has nothing to do with your taxes.
Can you explain to us how the free cash keeps escalating, our taxes keep going up? And
Mr. McDonald,
let me finish, please.
No, you're done. You're done. Mr. McDonald, you're done for tonight. You can't keep bringing up the same stuff. Mr. McDonald, you're done here this evening, sir. Mr. McDonald, any other public comments? Any other public comments? Mr. Sigal.
Lowell Sun.
I'm sorry I arrived late. I don't know if the town warrant has been discussed, but is the town warrant published and available to residents yet? Or, I mean, usually it's in the mail by now, it's only a couple weeks away.
It's actually gone to the printer and should be, do we have a mail, the estimated time of mail? It has to be there by 7 days prior. It actually has to be published 7 days prior. We go a step beyond and we mail it to every resident. So you will have it 7 days prior, but it is available. It's online. There are copies. Not the booklet is not available. No, it's a final. It's what's around now are final copies, which have been signed by the Board of Selectmen. They're available in my office.
Available here or just on the?
They're both available in hard copy in my office, and they are available online.
Thank you. I don't know if this is, well, it's a public comment, so I'm going to make it. On Tuesday, there was a very informative selectmen debate. The candidates presented themselves well, and I believe it is not only playing on WCTV, little plug to people filming now, but it's also available on their website. So I find it was very informative for me. Wasn't the only debate, but the selectmen debate was very interesting. And just go to the WCTV website, anybody that's interested, and just follow the instructions and you can get a video of it.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to know how much Ray LaCour has been paid by the town for no big contract.
Mr. McDonald, please.
It's a legitimate question.
Please, okay. Seeing no more public comments.
Would you like to offer us,
Seeing no more public comments. Mr. McDonald, please. Every time you get a public forum, you do this, because you're done. You're done. Oh, no, you're done.
Go back down to the Red Schoolhouse and learn your ABCs.
Okay, very good. Okay, before opening up to a new business and committee reports, I just want to make sure that the board is on the same page. These past 2 weeks, I've received numerous calls and a good deal of criticism about the past couple of meetings and how I should have shut down some discussion that that occurred during the new business. Specifically, several people have expressed to me how put off they were about some of the blatant campaigning that took place under new business. Last night I sat down to watch the March 28th meeting on WCTV. And, I have to say the people that made those comments were correct. When I chair these meetings and I have to decide whether someone is out of order or not, I always err on the side of openness. And I really don't like to shut down discussion. But I definitely should have ruled some of the campaign speeches out of order on March 28th. And I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here tonight. Excuse me. The purpose of the agenda item is to report back to the board regarding any committee or new business, or to discuss any new business that the board would like to address in the future. I fully expect to limit the discussion to these purposes tonight, and with that in mind, is there any new business or committee reports? Thomason?
Well, I had 2 pages of campaign stuff I was going to read, but I guess I won't. No, I'm kidding, of course. No, I know that Mr. Kari will highlight in a few moments that tomorrow evening, April 12th, 6:30, is the public forum to discuss and learn about and hear about and ask questions about the Wilmington High School building project. So I just want to encourage all residents who have thoughts or predispositions or think they understand that issue to please come down and have your eyes opened and become a part of that process and become engaged in that process. Ask questions and be a part of the future of Wilmington with regards to that. Additionally, I think this is the last meeting we have before election, am I right? So I'd simply say, make sure you please go out and vote. I don't care what the weather is. It's a civic obligation we all have, and so I expect and I hope that we'll have a fantastic turnout and that you'll be there to cast your vote as well. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I can only say that I can't say any better than what he just stated. Thank you.
I think Mr. Shampoo covered an item that I just want to add one footnote to with regard to the public forum tomorrow night on April 12th. This is one of 3 public forums that will be held prior to the town, through the school building committee, submitting a recommended alternative to MSBA. The high school building committee has, on multiple occasions, tried to reach out to folks and make sure that they understand just how important the process is for having public input. So there'll be 3 important dates in the near future: April, May, and June. Certainly, as the first one, this is as important as any. So I know that it's restating much of what Mr. Shampoo said, but I thought worth restating. Thank you.
I'm good.
Important dates.
Just a quick question. On that forum, unfortunately some of us are working. Is it going to be televised?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Important dates. Beginning this week, starting today actually, through April 15th, for the rest of the week, there'll be curbside collection of yard waste. We encourage people to put their yard waste out at the curb in biodegradable bags or in an open trash can that clearly can be seen by the trash haulers as being leaves. It's already been stated, April 12th, and stated well by both Selectman Shampoo and Selectman Newhouse. I don't need to repeat anything about it, but it is the public information meeting on the high school building project. It will begin at 6:30 p.m. and it will be held at the high school auditorium. We have brush drop-off at Old Main Street from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. On Wednesday the 13th and on Saturday the 16th, and it continues for Wednesdays and Saturdays through the month of April. Anyone interested in bringing any brush over to the old recycling location on Old Main Street is encouraged to do so. They need to pick up a ticket at the treasurer's office. Town offices are closed on April 18th in recognition of Patriots' Day. The Board of Health will be meeting at Town Hall at their regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, April 19th at 5:30 p.m., where there will be an update on the Wilmington Cancer Study. You recall that there was discussion about the study by Robert Knorr from the Department of Public Health. He will be joined by Suzanne Condon. They had discussed it back at the Olin Public Forum in November of 2010, and we scheduled them to come out at some date during the winter, I think in January, and of course it stormed on that day, so we've been trying to reschedule them for when they were available, and they are available for the 19th, and that meeting will take place here at the Town Hall in Room 9 at a regularly scheduled Board of Health meeting. Again, the annual town election, as been mentioned, is April 23rd. The polls are open from 8 a.m. To 8 p.m. with the same voting locations for all that has been in the past. Remember that we have discussed certain changes that are upcoming. When the redistricting is final, it has no effect on the voting locations or on where you vote for this particular election. So it's April 23rd. Polls 8 to 8. The sites are at the Boutwell School here at the Town Hall and at the Wildwood School. And remind selectmen they're invited to participate at the Little League opening day, which is also held same day as election on April 23rd, kicking off with the parade from the Town Common at 9:30. On that same day, youngsters in Wilmington, 6 years of age and under, are invited to participate in the annual Easter egg hunt at the Town Common, which is at 2 o'clock. So you can make the rounds in Wilmington and a variety of venues on that day. Also want to remind you that we pick up again on curbside collection of yard waste. If you missed it this week, you can get it the week of April 25th through 29th. And just advance notice that the Tiny Tots Kids Club registration will be held at the Town Hall Auditorium from 5 to 7 p.m. on April 26th. Information is on the website under Recreation, or you can contact the Recreation Department.
Very good. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Motion made second. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you.